Hey, hey. Glad to be here. It's a fun one. Hey, letting everybody in. Hi, Audrey. Hello, Melinda, Jeff, Margaret. Love seeing the faces. Sometimes we don't just talk into a wall. It's not fun, guys. It's not fun. But I can do it. I got the energy for all of us. We're good. We'll give everybody a few minutes to get on in and tell me something good while we're waiting. What's going on? Hi, Kristen. Hey, Kathy. Tell me something good. What's going on? Are we making calls? Is it working? Are we putting are things connecting? Are we touching people? Are we adding people to our database? Well, I hope so. I hope so. You got to get out there and you got to preview homes. If you're not showing homes, go out there and preview homes. Nothing better than seeing some properties. And then you got some stuff to talk about when you're out there, and it's just natural prospecting because you're just sharing what you just saw. Or sometimes I can't believe what some people are asking for in some of these homes, to be honest. I walked in one the other day. It was horrible. Yeah. And then you have some agents that they're hanging on to that price. I'm like, the first number needs to be 3, not 4 here. Yeah, well, the seller's not taking. I'm like, okay, well, I don't know. It's on a busy road. It's 2 bedrooms. It's not for anything. All right.
I can tell you about the place that we were under contract on that we're no longer under contract on.
Oh yeah, that fell apart.
Oh yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
do tell us. Give us
My
one
son's
good
about.
ballpark.
Well, it's interesting because we went in full asking just to get in front of the line, which they agreed, and the place was not going to appraise for what my son was going to pay. And he
Mhm.
was going in with a VA loan, and the guy's like, "Oh, I'm happy to help out a veteran." I'm like, "Great, you know." Um,
Okay,
but the VA does not deal with that condo association. It's not approved.
gotcha.
So then we came back with, well, all right, we'll go FHA. And he goes, "Oh no FHA, no, no." And they ran like scared little kids from the FHA. Um, so that just, we could have gone conventional, but there was no way it was going to appraise near the asking price that we were paying.
Mm-hmm.
And my son would have had to put all that extra money out up front to make up the difference. And the place needed way too much work for him to put all the money up front. He needed that money to do the kitchen, to do the bathrooms and all that. So
And Chris, can
that's
I
why.
ask you, was he putting down, well, he was putting down 0 with the VA. Was he putting down 3.5 or 5 with the FHA?
Yeah, and he
Yeah,
probably could have gone to 10, but
yeah.
they priced out the FHA at 3.5%.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but the funny part is the VA goes in kind of like the FHA,
Mm-hmm.
and they're kind of as demanding as the FHA. And he was willing to do
Correct.
the VA, but not willing to do the FHA because he was afraid of what FHA was going to say.
Sure.
So
So
that,
there's a couple lessons there for everybody to hear. Is number one, make sure that the loans that you're working with, the properties that you're looking at, will be able to close on those kinds of property. Now, if it's in a complex, if it's in a community, there are very few condos that are FHA approved. So if you're showing condos, please, please, please talk to the loan officer, because they are able to do spot approvals, which would mean that they're able to get this one unit and these 80 units to be approved to do an FHA. But they typically are looking for the whole complex to have filled out the paperwork and been compliant so that they could be FHA approved complexes. That just means nobody's looking in their books. That means that nobody's looking to see if there's an assessment, and people just don't like them, FHA federal in your business. So please don't go and show properties, have people fall in love with condos that then they find out that they can't do an FHA. And the VA, you know, Chris, what I've experienced with VA is a lot of agents, they shy away from it, or oh, it's going to be 0% down. What skin do they have in the game? And guys, if your clients do have some money, they can always put down money and get it back at closing, or use that money that they put down for their closing costs. Because with a VA loan, those of you who are not aware of it, it's 0%, right? So it's 100% financing for a veteran. They get to use it one time. And so there's nothing wrong with that loan. They served our country, and anybody should be welcoming a VA loan as an offer. And yet, agents get scared of it, homeowners get scared of it. And I would just advise you, if you have a buyer and they are VA, talk to them. Do you have any money that you're comfortable with, even if it's 5,000? To put up front in our offer, knowing that that money will be used at the closing table. So and we are seeing a lot of that, Chris. We're seeing a lot of people go to a certain price just to make sure that they can, and nothing wrong with it, secure the deal, because then if you don't like it, or you have buyer's remorse, or you go, this is definitely not going to appraise, we were pushed too far, you can back out in attorney review, right? So some of you who've never been through attorney review, that is the time that anybody can back out. Right? Seller can just say, I don't really like this contract, or I just got another contract. Buyer can say, hey, I thought about it and I'm not crazy about what's in the backyard. We're going to kill the deal. And there doesn't even have to be any explanation, right? No explanation. So, yep, Laura, it all works that way, right? We put it out there. It's the universe talking back to you. So, anybody else have any challenges or wins you want to share that's happened over the last couple of weeks as we dive in?
I have one.
Thank you, Georgette.
So my buyer is a cash buyer, and
Ooh.
we were supposed to close like over a month ago, and it turns out that it's in Plainfield City. So what happened is that this property have over 27 violations. And so all of those have to be taken care of before we can close. But I do feel like the other agent is giving the runaround. I don't think that they're truthful, because, they don't respond to emails. They don't do anything. And it's a big challenge for my buyer, because they really they didn't want to go pay rent again for next month. And now I feel so bad for them, but there's nothing that I can really do. I'm trying to do my best to keep communication going, but
yeah. And so, Georgette, you said it, the best you could do is you can communicate with them, because it's not, what could have you done differently? Now let's take the DNA on us, and I'm not saying you did really anything wrong there. And we could check on the property at the town. You could check for an OPRA. If your client is super interested in a property, OPRA, OPRA, you can go down to the township and you can pull an OPRA, open permits. So any open permits that are found on the property is public records. So if you're, now that you had this happen, Georgette, you'll probably be thinking, if you got a property, that you might just do this on the next property. But that's one thing that you could have done to have found that. A title search probably wouldn't have found that, because it would have been attached to the city violations. And as far as the agent not being honest or truthful, or let's stay in curiosity. Maybe they didn't know. Maybe now they're embarrassed at the fact that they weren't professional enough to find out everything they needed to know about this property before marketing. Maybe they do know, and they were hoping you weren't professional enough to have looked or had an attorney to protect these people. So we don't know which one is which. They probably, let's say benefit of the doubt. They probably didn't know. They're embarrassed. It is what it is at this point. You just got to get through it, and you'll just know. And this is for all of you. You'll just know next time you see that agent's name, be wary. Maybe they're not telling you the whole story. And if it happens again, then you know that kind of agent, and you got them. I got a few in my mind right now. You just don't want to work with unless you have to, unless you absolutely have to. And that's why getting on the listing side. So the next couple of weeks we get to go on the listing side of the conversation, but getting on the listing side is so important, because you get to control that. You get to control when you have 5 offers, and guess what? The agent does matter. And I'm not saying that you say, oh, well, I like Catherine better, so I'm going to choose Catherine. No, I just have had some history with George, and it hasn't been good. And I'm going to tell you, Mrs. Seller, he's dropped the ball in 3 different transactions. Catherine has been a star agent every time I work with her. The other offers don't even compare. So these are the ones that we're looking at. That is going to be a tipping factor. So look, if you don't know the answer, let me find out for you. But don't ever don't ever hide things that really should be disclosed. And don't get involved with sellers or buyers who are asking you to hide things that they know should be disclosed, because it's always going to bite you in the butt. It really is. Okay. All right. So let's dive in. We are in session 6, grow your database. And it's a fun one. It's really a simple concept, but it comes from our MREA. And there is the 4 laws of lead generation. So we're going to dive into there. And we covered on Monday, generate your leads. So it was a little bit of this, but now we're going to dive into more of how do we grow that database. So in the next couple of sessions, we'll talk specifically about open house. Then we have some guests coming on for social media that do social media at a high level. And then we're going to continue to talk about more leads. Okay. We have the smart data bank. Last session, we were talking about data bank, using that language, recognizing that, and it's not just in your phone, it's getting these people out of it into a database, something that can communicate with in a systematic way. We cannot operate you probably could operate a $200,000 business on this phone. And I've seen people do it at a high level, but guess what? You are missing opportunities. You're missing opportunities to connect with the family that, maybe wasn't on the top of your list, that you're not reaching out to all the time. So you need to put them into the database, building your database, feeding your database, communicating with it, servicing it, every lead that comes its way. And so that's what we're going to handle today. Who wants to read this for me? Raise your hand. Come on, somebody's reading. George, go ahead.
Your database is your business. Building up the number of names in it and the relationship with those names is really at the very core of what building a real estate business is all about.
That's right. Thank you. Gary Keller, the Millionaire Real Estate Agent. I will keep saying this, though. This is what it is. I just got off a career hour. I was with some ladies, and I said, no matter all the fluff and all the stuff you see out there, it does not matter. It matters that you real estate relationship. That's all it is. Okay, so talking about a smart database, go to your manual. We are on page 6-8, I believe. Okay, so when we talked about this the other day, we have leads and we have contacts. Can somebody define, and I believe we had it right last session, difference between leads and contacts? And it took me a little while to get this, like years, but leads and contacts, what's the difference? Sarah?
Contact is someone that you have a back and forth conversation with. And a lead is someone who you just know about, but you still have to make contact with and build a relationship.
That's right. Okay. So it's a two-way conversation where we went back and forth, and we've contacted, we've communicated. Whether they're doing business with me, that doesn't matter. That doesn't qualify it as a contact or not. The fact that they answered the phone and they told me to go F off, that counts as a contact. It absolutely does. And I'd keep them in my database, and I keep little notes there. And I tell you why. I have a bunch of people in here over the years that I keep them in my database. Nobody wants to be caught off guard by Mr. Open House, I promise you. So leads are, hey, Melinda, my sister needs to buy a house. Here, give her a call. Right? I didn't say, hey, Melinda, Therese, hey, meet each other. You guys are talking in front. Okay, that's a contact. I'm just saying, hey, Melinda, give her a call. So now Melinda has this lead. Now what's she going to do with it? She might not do anything with it. She might put it in her pocket and forget about it. But she might have a system where she takes a little picture of the card and then texts it to herself, right? Or emails it to herself and puts a little topic where it says, put in database on Tuesday. And she also might just have her app open on the phone and just put the contact right into the app. So whatever your system is, I don't care. For me, when it was back in the day, it was a little piece of paper and a shoebox on my desk. And my assistant's name was Melinda, and Melinda would put the shoebox on the desk, and she'd be like, come on, who'd you meet? And I'd give her business cards, like, oh, I went to this networking event. Oh, I met this lady at the Macy's. I remember I met this lady in the Macy's dressing room, and we pulled the little piece of the tag off and I wrote the phone number on it. She's like, what the hell is this? I'm like, I met this lady at Métis, right? So all of those people are leads. And that was actually a contact because we were back and forth. But when somebody says, hey, call this person, my sister needs my what, that is a lead. Then you have to follow up with them. So when you put them into your database, think like this. When you put them into commands, there is a little check mark that says lead. Leave it as a lead unless you've actually contacted them. Because once you remove that check, because you can take a look at just your leads. So if all of you are leads, there's how many pictures I see? 10 pictures right now. 10 pictures, you're all leads coming in. I haven't been able to connect with you at all. I want you to stay in the leads category. Once I connect with you and I get some more information about you, now you are a contact. And I could take that checkbox off of what I'm going to show you commands in this, as we get through. So I'll show you what I mean by that. And that really helped me out a lot because go into your leads and make sure that that's cleared out every day. Right. And if you're running any ads, if you have a QR that's out there that would generate people to come into you, inbound leads, then you do need to go and clear out every day because somebody might come in the middle of the night and then you have a little notification that you have a lead. Okay. So the difference between contacts and leads, it's clear to me now, but it wasn't always, and it might be a little foggy for you, and it's okay. So database defines which part of lead generation and database model represents your database. Are you just lead generating, and you got all these people, you talk to all these people, you prospect, you market, but then you don't get to put them into the database and put them into where you can cultivate the relationship management, invite them to a party? Do you have systems where, hey, it's Thanksgiving's coming up and we're going to talk about a few fun ideas that you really need to be gearing up to do? Very simple, even if you haven't sold anything. And then, or is it the bottom, client and referral loop, where you've built a business, you have a couple years under your belt, you have some referrals coming out of your database. Maybe some of you are brand new and you're in the lead generation mode. You're just building that database. Understand where you are and know that eventually you're going to get to the whole loop. But it does take work. It takes work, time, effort, and it also takes you thinking about what it needs to look like. Commands. If you put your goals in, you will actually be able to see the numbers moving towards, are you meeting your goals? And everything is being led by the leads measure. Side note, has anybody ever seen or heard of the 4 disciplines of execution by Covey? 4 disciplines, and it's the lead measures and the lag measures. Okay, so basically concept is there's lead measures and there's lag measures. We want to see the lag measures. We want to see the results. We want to know that we lost 10 pounds. We want to know that we took a listing. We want to know that we made 200,000 at the end of the year. That's the lag measure, what shows up. But the lead measure is everything that has to happen in order for the lag measure to even have a chance at showing up. So going back to like weight loss or health is water intake, calorie intake, fats, what are those called? Micro whatevers, right? Measuring all of that is going to ultimately give you the results, the lead versus the lag. The lead measure here is in leads. How many leads are you generating? How many people are you putting in your path? That is the playbook. That is the lead measure to the lag. And so you cannot tell me that you talked to 10 people this week and you want to earn $250,000. There's no way that that's going to, I mean, it could if your clientele is at like a million and over, like average. I have a girlfriend, her average is 1.2 million. She's in Tenafly. She's the #1 luxury agent in the state of New Jersey. She has it's only 1.2, right? Because she's going to sell some $500,000 houses. So I just want us to put that in perspective, is you need to talk to 40 people a week. You need to. And if you don't, you're going to get the lag results of the 10-person contact week. And if some of you are learning and that's all the time, it's okay. I just want us to understand that there is a balance and there is a yin and a yang to this. Okay. So if we look at leads and we see that the rest of the stuff isn't working, what could we actually do? We can go get more leads. And eventually everything else, even if our percentages were horrible, it will get better because you're adding more leads into the machine. And so here's the 4 laws of a database. It could be a database of a doctor, database of a real estate agent, a painter, a auto salesman. Build a database. Feed it every day. Communicate with it in a systematic way, and then service all the leads that come your way. So build, feed, communicate, serve. So build a database. At a minimum, each contact should have these 3 pieces of information. So name, contact information, and past business record. What other pieces of information are you looking to gather when you're building your database? Just go ahead and yell it out.
Email address.
Physical address.
Yeah.
Address.
Yep. Physical address.
Or email address.
Email address. Their spouse's email address, because you have 2 people, 2 different spheres of influence, 2 different contacts. Okay, so I'm going to tell you a great way to double your database right now. Go in and find all the couples and separate them. Find the other and make sure, I say this, Godfrey works in the factory, Marybeth works in the office. We talk to different people all the time. If Melinda was going to market to me, it's probably not going to land on Godfrey's ears. If she markets to Godfrey, it's probably not going to land in my ears. So think about that. When you have an aunt or an uncle, what about your cousins? Do you have all your cousins? Some of us take the wedding list, the birthday list, and then we forget that there's 5 people in that family and they all can buy real estate. Or they all might have friends that can buy real estate. And that's the other piece that we miss sometimes. It is not about the people that are just in our database. On Monday, we did the activity of, 8% of the database, but then 10% from the database. 8% of the database moving, 10% of the database referring. Guys, that's a lot of business. If we're looking, well, I need leads. I hear it all the time. I don't know where to get the business from. It's literally in your phone. It's literally at church. It's literally at the gym. You got to go to the daycare. It's there. You got to go sit in jiu-jitsu. It's there. It is everywhere you go. It is on the line at the grocery store. It is yesterday taking pictures at some house that I'm listing, and I'm talking to the guy in the garage. I mean, that's where it is. It's everywhere you go. So as we get into this, birthday, these are some other things I would say. So write these down, right? So you got your name, you got the email, you got the physical address, you got the spouse as a separate contact. You have their birthday, you have what they did, you have their social handles. Okay, so in command, you're going to want to put their social handle. How do you find the social handle? You just go into Facebook. You're just going over here. You're going to put George. George, you're just sitting right underneath my face. So, right, there's George Bonilla. And where is he? There's a lot of George Bonillas. Where are you, George?
George M. I'm the second one.
Okay, so George is here. I'm going to go look at George, because I'm not going to ask George, hey, George, what's your handle, right? I'm just going to find George, and I'm going to take this and I'm going to copy it. And I'm going to go put it in his contact. And the reason why I'm going to put it in his contact is because if I go ahead and do some command ads, I can actually target my database instead of making it go to everybody out there that's an audience within a 5-mile radius and blah, blah, blah. You guys can do actually targeted command ads just to your database. So when it falls on the news feeds, it's just going to fall on the news feeds of your audience instead of letting it fall on the audience that it's going to pick. And here's the problem. We're all friends. You just saw George and I are friends. We're all friends on Facebook. So if I go and just do a blank, hey, send this out, everybody who likes real estate, who do you think it's going to fall on? It's going to fall on all of you. And you're not going to buy a house from me. I'm not going to buy a house from you. So we need to, even when we're doing and we feel really good about putting that post out, like, yeah, I did it. See who comments. Do you have the right people's eyes on that piece? And if not, inquire, especially with Ashley Capola, about how to get that audience right. Otherwise, it's wasted dollars and wasted energy. It's the same thing when we're talking about, are you mailing to an area that you have influence in? And are you mailing to an area that actually has turnover? You got to make sure that you're putting the dollars and the time and effort and energy into the right area. So that is here, actually is right where I was talking about. See, Akinola Shakespeare. Interesting. See how there's a little arrow right here, mark as lead? When you put somebody in, if you haven't connected with them, keep that checked. Once you connect with them, uncheck them. And then when you uncheck them, they're just going to be a contact. And I'll show you where you can find leads when I open up my commands. So check out Command Your Database on Connect. Find it under technology. There's lots of answers. And then, of course, you always have Ashley as well. So in building your database, getting all that information, how are you going to get that information? I mean, if we're talking about the cell phone, we got their cell phone number, right? So let's just say you download your cell phone and you have, some of you guys said you had thousands of people in there, but let's say you have 200 good people that you go, okay, after looking at that Excel sheet, these are my 200, but now you only have their cell phone. What would be your tactic, or what has been some of your tactics to go and get the rest of the information? Go ahead, Kathy.
I use this website called Fast People Search, where it'll give me their address, and it's not always accurate, but I can kind of tell. Usually if I have someone's number, I kind of know the town that they live in.
Sure.
So if I put their phone number into that website, I usually get their address, and then boom, I have their
Right.
address.
So Fast People Search, she could do that. Another tool you could use is just go to your tax record. Go to Remine, go to Realist. Just try to find them. Just try to find them. I would tell you this is a couple days of work and this is the best season, because as I said, there's some fun things that are coming up, and you want to have the right list. Like you're having a party, you want to invite the right people. So finding them on the tax record would be one place. I try to get as much information as I possibly could, and then I would go to other sources. Another place you could go that would give you data is our Movement Mortgage team also has a product called Atom, ATTOM, and they can do some searching too. So if you gave them your list of people, you could say, hey, find me out as much information about these people. They'll be able to run those names through their program. And then here's the other really cool thing you guys could do. You could call them, the people, and you could ask them, because you have all their phone numbers, right? So I would, even if I found their information, I might say, hey, Kathy, just wanted to confirm, are you still living over at 123 Main Street in so-and-so town? And she's like, yeah, I am. Wait till you get oh no, we just moved. That is a really big ouch, because tax records and stuff don't like move that quickly. So what I would really encourage you to do is get comfortable with even a text message that maybe you could send, your warm ones. Like, hey, I'm cleaning up my database. Just want to make sure I have all your right information. You still live here? Is this still your email? Hey, and what's your birthday? I'm doing a birthday campaign in 24. Right? What's your birthday? I mean, you get it on Facebook, but if you ask them, wouldn't it be great if you had a little birthday campaign where every day you looked in your command, you saw your tasks, it tells you it's Kathy, Melinda, and Yolanda's birthday this week, and you put it in the mail with a scratch off. Hey, happy birthday. Take a chance on you. Right? It could be a dollar scratch. Go ahead, Nicole.
The home team will actually give you the Atom program so you can do it yourself.
There you go. There you go. Atom is a good program for that. All right. So that is how you're going to get the rest of the information. The other thing you can do is you can hit him up on social. So, you know, maybe George and I are just friends here and I don't have his information. Well, can I just hit him up here? Hi, getting my information. Yeah, I can. And so you're going to have to piece it together however you need to piece it together, but you need all that data. You need their email and you absolutely need their physical address. But their email, their cell phone, and their physical address and their name are definitely necessary to maximize the tools. So then feed it every day. Once you have a database, now you need to feed it every day, prospecting or marketing through it, which goes to your social posts, your marketing pieces in the mail, emails that go out, newsletters, your calls to them. Yes, your sphere will generate new repeat referral business. Absolutely, it will. If you're communicating with it, even the people that you help them find a rental, keep communicating with them because they're going to need to buy sometime soon. And even if they can't, can they refer other people to you because you were the only agent that actually helped them find a rental? Like that's the story of the rental always, right? So stay in touch with those people. Your sphere will generate new repeat and referral business. And getting testimonials and reviews is also a great way to showcase to your database that you're doing the right thing by people. And, you know, people work with you and they love working with you. Has anybody asked for referrals before? Has anybody gotten reviews, testimonials? Okay. What I would suggest, and there was an agent who did an amazing job of it. She would get video testimonials, right, at the closing or at the walkthrough. And they would just, you know, we had such a great time with Mary Beth at Keller Williams. We just, you know, da-da-da-da, she made everything, da-da-da-da. And it's a video and you get to see these people's real faces. You know, could you just say, hey, could I ask you just to say something about your experience with me? Would you mind? Now, if you leave it up to them, you might never ever get it, right? But if you say, you know, would you mind me just capturing that for you in front of your new home? They're going to say something. They're on the happy bus right now, right? So catch them when you can. There's no bad time to go back and say to your business, even the last year and a half, to say, I'm really putting together my marketing and I had such a great transaction with you. You know, I know it was a while ago, but the market's still crazy like it was back then. Wouldn't you mind sending me a review? Now, setting up a Google My Business page is important. If you don't have a Google My Business page, each of you are little business owners and hopefully one day big business owners. So I would task you with setting up your own Google My Business, and then that's what you would be sending them, the link to give you a review. Now, the challenge is if they give you a bad review, it's not coming off. That just means that you need to have integrity with your service. And so if you're brave, bold, and honest, I'd make a Google page. But, you know, I had one person crying, like, they're going to take it down. I'm like, well, did you do that? Yeah. Okay, well, then don't do that. You're going to learn. So then we had to, like, the only way to do it is just flood it with more reviews. So you had to flood it with, oh, she was amazing, oh, she was great, she did it always on time, from all different emails, but it still was there. So and you never go to the first or the second, you kind of dig down, right? You want to know who you're dealing with. So what areas of business of customer service could you ask someone to provide a testimonial review on? Could you, and maybe you guide them on my responsiveness, on my attention to detail, or I know I'm not so great on attention to detail. Would you mind giving me a review on how empathetic I was towards your situation, or how clear I was in my communication, right? So you might have to guide them. And then communicate with your database. So please, somebody go ahead, be bold and read this one. Come
I'll do
on.
it.
Thank you.
To succeed at a high level in real estate sales, you must commit to frequent contact with the database with the intent of building close relationships.
Yes, thank you, Kristen. And it's not just like, oh, I got through my calls. I talked to her. Were you really there? Were you present? Or were you just calling for business, right? Because they know. So if you're going to make those relationship-based conversations happen, make it that and not just a sales call, okay? 3, communicate systematically. We'll spend a little time here. Segment your database based on interest, passion. We've talked about this a bit, But we need to break it up. We need to organize the closet. We need to make it easy for us to communicate with the military people. And oh, I want to send out something about this golf outing that we have going on. Or oh, here, everybody that loves animals, putting them in dog lovers category. You can make a million and one tags. It doesn't matter. Whatever you want the tag to be inside of commands. It could be that it's the Front Street Posse. Everybody lives on this one street, and I want to communicate with them because we're going to do a block party, and we got this stuff going on. And you know, if it rains, there's sewage issues, and we can all talk and complain about it together, right? So that's the way you want to organize this. Even inside of, and we've talked about a macro, metro, micro market. Inside of your database, you also have these macro, metro, micro categories. Right. So the macro category, I'm just going to take my church, for example. We have women's ministry. Right. So all women in the church are in women's ministry. That's the macro. Then you have the metro, which, you know, you can call whatever, the next circle. That might be the leadership team. And then the inner might be just Amanda and I who do the announcements. And we, you know, we're working on this other thing with the women's conference. But so it works that way too. And when you're looking at your database, who do you need to be tagging, and how do you need to categorize them? So what are some other tags that some of you have used before? I mean, easily you have buyers and sellers, right? You have friends and family, but what are some of the tags that you've been using and purposefully?
Mom and dad, I use.
What'd you say?
I use mom and dad. I differentiate who are moms and who are dads in my database.
Okay, very nice. Interesting. I like it. So if you had something that was specific about moms raising kids as a mom, and you would send it out to them, right? Dads. Perfect. Awesome.
Yes.
Didn't think about that. Anybody else? Real estate agents is something that you should have, right? Because when we talk about marketing a listing, do you truly go above and beyond and send it to all of your agents that you have a personal relationship with to let them know that you have amazing listing that's happening? If you don't, you know, oh, what was on MLS? Yeah, but I mean, I didn't even know I was going so fast. If I saw it, you know, maybe I would have pushed it out for you too. Like, so that's a category we always overlook. And then once again, I would have, you know, there's KW agents and there's non-KW agents, but the macro category is agents, period. Right? Or it could be real estate agents is the macro. The metros are New Jersey real estate agents, New York real estate agents. And then inside of that, you also have, are they a Keller agent or not a Keller agent? So what's where all the circles kind of go over each other and they overlap, right? It's like a math thing, right? That's what it is, because then you find these sectors that are overlapping, and then you can bring all of those people together and have an event specifically for the people that overlap. Anyway. And that is going to help you think about what events you could have, because if you had, let's just say, to Georgette's suggestion, let's just say she's like, you know, I have a lot of moms. Like, I've been putting a lot of people in the moms category. Maybe she's thinking of doing a mimosa and mom's brunch with her fabulous cooking. I don't know what she would cook up, but right, maybe she's going to do something like that, and she invites people to a breakfast, and she's going to educate on something about moms, nothing about real estate. Now it's so much easier for her to think, oh, I should do that because I have a big section in my database that has that interest, that passion. So golf, investors. Investors are big because here's a tip for an investor. Everybody has investors. Market stats in different geographic locations based on markets people are moving to and moving from. These are customized marketing messages that you would send to an investor. Investor, you can easily, here would be a weekly thing that you do. And I'm sure that you could categorize lots of people in your database as investor. They've told you they want to invest. It's the best buy list. You're only going to pick 1 or 2 houses every week, or maybe just 1. This is my best buy of the week. Right now, there's a listing that's going on in Sayreville. It's 31 Marshall. It starts to show on Sunday. It's listed at like, I don't know, 329 or 319 or something. It has 4 bedrooms and it's in Middlesex. Right? Everybody's showing it. When it hit the market, that would be something you'd push out to your investors. Hey, Best Buy, it's not showing until Sunday, October 1st. Every single week you would be consistent with. Now, let's just say you see some sort of investor loan product. Hey, investor tip of the week, check this out. We also have that book up there, the MREI, the blue book. Take things out of that, push that out. But investors would be something that every single week I'm sending them something, and then I'm checking in like, hey, what's your criteria? Shoot me back your criteria. Has it changed? What are you looking for? Because they're not all looking for the same. And if you have a bunch of investors, the best thing you could do with investors is get them together. Because you bring a couple investors together, now you have more money to go shop with. They like each other, they start getting like crazy ideas. Like, let's do a hedge funds. No, let's do a real estate REIT. Let's do a, what could you find us for 4 million? And I've been inside some of those transactions. You're like, really? You guys are all, you don't even know each other. You're all gonna, yep. Because they have the same standards and expectations with their money. So start looking at your database and the people that you know a little bit differently, and how could you categorize them? Maybe some of them aren't even raising their hand to say, I'm a golfer, I'm an investor, I'm a dog lover, but you've watched and you notice more than they notice. So this here is everything. Once you have these leads, now we need to communicate it with. This is the communication map. So, I send out the slides will be there. But this one here, I could tell you, take it, post it on your wall. It is the lead generation model spelled out for you. 19 touches a year for the leads, 1 to cement, 1 touch, 1 high value touch. And then 36 to convert. So this is 36 touches a year, which is what you keep your sphere of influence on. Your Met database is the 36 touch. So this used to be called a 12 direct. Now it's called a 19. And this used to be called a 33 touch. It's called a 36. 19, 12, 33, 36, doesn't matter, right? It's all the same thing. And I promise you, if you did half of those touches, you would be doing a whole lot more business than you're doing now. Now with the touches, you also have to stay super consistent. So when we talk about the 19 to convert, let me just get back to that page for a second. Let me share this. How many of you have a consistent marketing plan, whether it's electronic or it's in the mailbox, or it's once a month, or it's twice a month? Like, how many of you can, if you have something, could you raise your hand so that you could share something that you're doing consistently to your database? It could be something as small as a text message that you send monthly. Nicole, I see your thumbs up. Can you share with us what you're doing while we wait for some other people? Go ahead.
Started to do, can you hear me? I'll take the Bluetooth off. I know.
Yes.
I started with doing mailers, and I bought the Vulcan. The Vulcan gives me everybody's address, phone number, email, and then I use that to farm my neighborhood, and I am making my neighborhood farm grow bigger and bigger and bigger. So where I was local, now I'm also going back into New York where I grew up, because I think that's going to be more also really good, right? So I'm sending out postcards. I make up funny ones, serious ones. Like you'll see listed. I don't have that under my belt so much, like just sold. So I did like super realtor. I'll find you homes, binoculars and a cape and just silly stuff. I put one of my commissions, I took all my money, I put it in front of my face and I said something like, do you want top dollar? And I had like a funny look on my face. And then I had my mother in her house. She just bought on the water, looking at the water. And it's more like, my buyer found her dream home. Did you find yours?
Okay.
I do that. And then I love the idea of the parkbench.com, which I tell everybody, you don't need Parkbench. It's expensive. You could do your own YouTube channel and interview your whole community, interview your farm.
That's right. That's right. Love it. Thank you so much. Anybody else consistently doing something to the database?
For free. Yeah, and it could lead straight to the database. Like since I started all this in the summer, I'm getting leads now left and right because I keep posting on social media just about real estate. Whereas I was doing a couple of other things. I'm like, I had to really sit down with the one thing and just do real estate. And now
That's right.
that's what people are talking to me about. I have like 5 conversations about buyers and people who want to buy houses and apartments and listings, and I don't know what to do with it all because I just being consistent with it. Things have progressed so quickly now.
Well, thank you for sharing. And I'm sure that there's some agents on here that wouldn't mind giving you a referral if you just can't handle it. Just go ahead and let me know and I'll team you up with the right agent. But that is what happens. You start making consistency happen and leads come your way that you can't even handle. So then you have to start to categorize, are they A, B, or C leads, and what needs to happen now. And Nicole is spot on with, then she goes and revisits the one thing book, which is all about prioritizing. Okay, so not everything is equal in your day or in the business or in the moment. Okay, so let's just talk about this here. 4 touches quarterly phone calls. Everybody's got that, understands that you would just do a quarterly touch. Here's what I would share. Even if you talk to them twice a year, right? The 4 touches, the easy way to do that, it's called DTD2. DTD2, and I'm going to send you guys out the DTD2 schedule so that you can see it. But basically what the DTD2 is do the database 2, and it's 2 letters every single week out of your database that you are to call. Meaning that this week we're going to call all the C's and W's, which is everybody who has a C last name and a W last name. Now they're kind of like paired up differently than just A, B, C, D. When I was in your shoes, I literally called 1 letter of the week, which got me through the alphabet 26 times, right? 26 letters twice a year, got me through the alphabet twice a year. I'm sorry, 2 times a year. 26 letters 2 times is 52 weeks. So if every single week you woke up and said, okay, what's the letter of the week? Letter of the week starting Monday is A. And just move on. Next Monday it's B. Next Monday it's C. You will get through your entire database without cherry picking, because we cherry pick if we go naturally. If somebody gives us the list, which would be us giving us the list, everybody in the A, we call A, 2 times a year. So 4 touches, 2 touches would be a phone call. 12 monthly emails. What could that be? Anybody? What could we utilize in our tools that could be a monthly email? All right. So what'd you say?
A smart plan?
Yes, a smart plan. Of course, a smart plan. Absolutely. So when we look at what smart plans are available, you would go into commands and you'd come over here into smart plans, which is the 4th icon down. And there are tons of smart plans that are already, here's the library, that are already created. So you have featured ones, your Keller Williams, your top 10 ones, the monthly call plan. Now, some of these are going to wind up being tasks that tell you you have to call them. You look at the tasks, tells you what you need to do every day. But what I'm talking about is this right here, the bi-weekly neighborhood nurture, or just the straight up neighborhood nurture. Okay. So the bi-weekly neighborhood nurture is going to send them 2 emails a month. Okay. And basically what it's going to do is from their contact, as long as you have put in, their home address, I don't think there's a home address for Howard Goldman, but let's just take a look at him for a second. Once you've put in the address, then you can go ahead and do a smart plan and add to a smart plan and pull down for the neighborhood nurture. And you can just go ahead and select it and put that customer on the neighborhood nurture. Now, of course, we don't have an address in here, which is why it's telling me, got to go back here and I got to go put his address in so that I can create the neighborhood nurture. Now, the neighborhood nurture, what it's going to do is it's going to take that address of that person And it's going to give them a snapshot, an email of a snapshot of their immediate area without you having to do anything. So if you put them on the monthly, they're going to get an email from you every single month that's going to be relevant to their house because it's going to be about their neighborhood. And guess what? Even if it's not accurate because you're like, oh, well, I'm not in that section, I'm in this section. Great. That's going to be them saying, hey, Kristen, you got me in the wrong section. Oh, I'm so sorry, Mary Beth. What section would you like to be in? That would be a two-way conversation. There's a contact for the day. Right. So what I would say is neighborhood nurture should be your answer for that 12 direct, for that 19 to connect. Now, the other thing that I would tell you to do is you have to see, in my mind, what I would be doing is I'd have that 12 emails, I'd have those 4 touches, and then you have this one annual event. We're coming up with the harvest season, right? So now we have Thanksgiving. We have to be careful in that we are in America, so we can American holidays. Let's celebrate that, right? So Thanksgiving, we can give gratitude to everybody. We can use it to collect canned goods. We can have a harvest festival where we're gonna buy some local pies. I mean, Monmouth County has some of the best pies. So you have some great farms that you can just do, or you might know somebody that bakes and you're gonna buy their goodies and you're gonna say, listen, I'm gonna buy 20. And I'm gonna just give out 20 pies, or I'm gonna give out 20 things of cookies, or whatever it may be. Some of you right here may say, we're going to do it here in my office, but some of you might say, like, could we do it in the office? Could we do it at the front of the office? We'll just get cider and we'll have all the pies there and everybody can invite their clients to come pick up their pie. Yes, that's a great idea. And then also you can add to that, and this is an easy way to just say, hey, I wanted to appreciate you for any future business we're going to be doing, or thank you so much for sending Aunt Millie my way. And do you want apple or pumpkin? I have 2 different pies this year. I want to appreciate you. Come on down Saturday between I don't know, 11 and 1. We got some face painting for the kids. We got cider, and you can pick up your pie. And oh, by the way, we're also having a food drive that day, so feel free to bring canned goods. Or how about you take the brown paper bag and you go out to the farm, the people that you know, and you drop the bags off at their doorstep with a little note saying on the bag all the canned goods, all the toiletries that you're looking to donate, where you're going to be donating it, or you're donating to a local place with this QR code of scan me, text me when you want me to pick it up. Right? There's so many things. Turkey drive. We're collecting turkeys. We're collecting hams. Everybody gets a free ham or turkey at ShopRite. Like, who are we kidding, right? So I'll take your free ham or turkey. I'll come pick it up. I promise you, you'll have so many people going, yeah, if you can come pick up my turkey or ham, and you could be donating them to a local bank that may need that food, will need that food. So these are different ways that you can absolutely set yourself up for that event, that one sealing event in this season, in this quarter, a high value touch that solidifies the relationship that you've just established, and it opens the door to future interactions. Hey, pop by. We're going to be having this Harvest Fest. Hey, pop by. We're doing a buyer seminar. I do a buyer seminar every quarter. I'm going to invite you to that. Right. So now these people now that they know you, now that they've gotten 12 touches, you've called them 4 times a year, you've invited them to the event. Now they're a contact and you want to be doing business with them. They're a met person. Now you got to up it. You still got the 4 touches in the phone call. So you got the letter of the week. Now it's 2 letters of the week. 26 touches bi-weekly. So now 12 of them is the email, which leaves us with another 14. Hold that for a second. 2 touches, which is events. Maybe one is the drive in the fall. Maybe one's a drive in the spring. Could you do an Easter egg hunt? Could you do something for 4th of July? Could you go down to the boardwalk and do something there? There's tons of events that you can plug into. Asbury Park has tons of events. Middlesex, we're having a jazz festival on Friday, we're part of. So there's tons of events that you don't have to be planning the event. You can just be part of. So when you're in the 36 to convert, you're talking about two events, not just one, two different events. And then this one here for promotional direct mail, such as a magnet calendar or market report, that there is called a shelf piece. So let me just share with you the school of Adele DeMoro. So when I joined Keller Williams, one of the reasons why it was so familiar to me was because Adele was on my refrigerator for many years. Because Adele had been in the business and she lived in my neighborhood. She lived in Monmouth Heights. So my mom was like, oh, call Adele. And then I met Gina and it was like, oh, come, right? So it was very familiar. But Adele was a mailer. Adele would be on that in that mailbox every single month. And so I learned it from her. And so I don't know if I can write it on the board if you guys are going to see it or if it's going to come backwards. So I'm just going to talk about it. And then I'll type it out for you. So her rule of thumb was we're going to put 12 pieces of mail in the mailbox and we're going to send 12 emails. There's 24. Boom, done. Then they have a birthday. So they're going to get something in the mail for the birthday. Everybody's got a birthday. And then the spouse has a birthday. So that's like 1 or 2 touches. If they got kids, I mean, I went crazy. I used to send balloons. I would send Cheesecake Factory gift cards for some of my favorites. One of my customers' kids love Starbucks. So I'd always get her Starbucks cards. So you got a birthday, you got anniversaries, you got different holidays with the people that you know. You can figure out what would be those extra for handwritten cards, let's say. But the school of Adele was 4 shelf pieces. That's what those promotional items are. What are shelf pieces? Shelf pieces are things that hang around a little longer than just a piece of paper that gets put on or gets thrown out, right? So a shelf piece might be a pen with your brand on it. A shelf piece might be the calendar that some people still, send in December. My personal favorite, coming from Adele, is called the Jumbo Mag. It's like this size. It's like this size. It's not the real super small one. It's like this, and this is all magnet, and the pages rip off. So your magnet's always staying there. It could be notepads. There's a company called Layton Printing, Layton. You can get those long, skinny notepads. And Adele always had the notepads, and it came down to a listing that I was going to lose to her because the guy was looking for the lady with the notepads. And because I had got my notepads, I was like, don't worry, I'll be right there with the notepads. Because he thought it was me, because my father was talking to him. Of course, my dad was my, I told you, my ride or die. And so when I got there, he was like, you're not the lady. I said, no, I'm not the lady, but I got the notepads. You're never going to have to ask for another notepad. Let's go. Let's talk about this. We started laughing and I said, no, it's okay. She's my broker. It'll be fine. But I joke, but that notepad really got me that business. And that person did not only have that house to sell on Knox Lane, which is where I lived, but they also had another house to sell in Monmouth Heights and Marlboro and another house to sell that was in Freehold. So it was about $1.3 million of real estate over a notepad. Okay, so the notepad is a sticky piece. We used to also put a little magnet on the back, and then the notepad also had like a little window so you could see your face on the notepad when it came across the mailbox. But so if I talked about 4 shelf pieces, okay, a pen might be one, a notepad might be another, a calendar would be another. What could be another that you might market yourself with?
The magazines from Reminder Media, like in the nail salons
Yep.
and stuff.
Somebody said that they were doing I think it was Sarah. Somebody said they were doing Remind Media. So there's magazines. You could do magazines. What else?
I've gotten recipe cards or recipe books.
Recipe books. See, now you're laughing, right? But like, here's the thing about recipe books. Do you sell food?
It's so bizarre, but I'm saying I've gotten them in my house, in my mailbox.
I
Funny
know.
to
So
me.
look at how she we're
But I
laughing
guess
about it,
they
right? So-
think like, you'll use it, you'll keep it like for future
Yep.
reference and your name's on it. So,
Exactly. It's a shelf piece. It's gonna stick around as long as it's a good, a good recipe, like crumb cake. Everybody loves a good crumb cake
Right.
or chocolate chip cookie. A chip clip. Everybody loves chip clips. You always need a chip clip. a letter opener where you stick your business card in it and it's stuck there forever. I had Dino's forever stuck at my house. Also, one of the best things I used to do for the summer one was a bookmark. So what I would do, because you're also going to be conscious that you're going to mail this or you're going to walk it, so there's weight to this pen, there's weight to the notepad, and that's going to cost something. So with a bookmark, you can make a bookmark. You could buy a bookmark off like Vistaprint or any of our marketing platforms. You can make one real easy. And then you put reading lists. I used to put a reading list for adults and for children and be like, here's summer reading. And the bookmark would have my name, information, and it was going to linger, right? So those 4 shelf pieces in my growing up were to happen quarterly. And that was December, March, June, September. And September is when I sent the notepad. Why? Because everybody was getting back to business. Everybody started making lists again. Kids have to go back to school. In June, the bookmark went out because that was when everybody did summer reading. And then the notepad went back out again in March because by then the notepad was almost up. Mr. Galan was looking for the notepads, right? And then again, the other one was in the December, which was the calendar. So if they get 4 pieces like that linger around the house, and then the other 8 months are postcards that you design, and many of you probably haven't touched your Command Designs, but you also have this company as well to work with, which is KW Marketing. The KW Marketing Center is really phenomenal, and their pieces, they're pretty inexpensive, very reasonable. Okay,
Also,
but some
I want to just say for Halloween coming, one of the companies I work with sent me a postcard that says, let's talk about real estate. You attach your business card and then put a candy on it. And that would stay
Perfect.
pretty long too, because the kids don't eat the candy right away. I just went on Canva, made it the similar design and put it into Vista for really inexpensive. And now I'll get the real cards and my business card will be attached. I don't have to do that.
Perfect. Chips, right? We used to hole punch the top and like put a little string. Just even opening the door for the kids and the trick-or-treaters, you're gonna see parents. If you have kids and you're going out trick-or-treating, maybe you have a bag of candy with your card, the way Nicole just said it, and you're handing it out. Like, no, I'm not taking, I'm giving. I'm a local real estate agent. Here you go, trick-or-treat. When I, back in the day, Hershey bars fit a perfect business card in the sleeve. Okay. So I would stick my business card in the Hershey bar. I made my own wrappers and it said the Mary Beth Home Selling Team. We're so good, it's scary. That was our giveaway. And we would go to all of our listings and we would give them 50 chocolate bars to give out to, as a service to the listing and also to promote their house. We'd have a little picture of their house. We're so good, it's scary, and a way to contact us. So there's definitely opportunities out there in the Halloween season as well. And then of course, with the holidays coming up, are you hosting anything? Are you, could you host something? Could you just invite people out to a local bar? Kristen and I went to Manalapan High School and I just saw that the Old Silver Tavern is back up and running, right? Like how fun would it be to do like Manalapan High School reunion and like we're running it?
It's not the same at all, right?
I know, I see.
Crazy.
But we could pretend we're not the same either. And so but there's lots of things that you can do with the holidays coming up. So thanks for those ideas. But going back to my message is that 12 direct looks like 4 shelf pieces quarterly and 8 other pieces, 8 other postcards, 8 other letters. But you got to think out the year and say, what do I want to do? If I do these 12 pieces, and then I also have them on an email, now they're getting literally, and if you keep them on a bi-weekly neighborhood nurture, that means that they're getting literally 3 touches a month. That's 36 just right there, plus the phone calls and the birthday, and you invited them for a pie and out to drinks. I mean, if you were consciously doing this with your database, you really would only need 100 to 200 people in there. It's just that we think everything is gonna we're looking for the magic pill and we got to go a little deep with our peeps. You know, some other fun events that I've seen people rent out movie theaters. And you know, something's coming, maybe a couple agents get together and you just say, hey, we're doing a client event, bring your kids, we rented the movie theater out, we'd love to see you at the, you know, 3 o'clock show on Saturday for blah blah blah. I had a friend of mine, he rented out the Urban Air place, the Jumpy place. It was like $5,000 for like a whole bunch of hours. He got a couple sponsors and he made that his annual client event. He had about 120 people there. Okay. Another thing that you can do is get involved with the sports at your local area, right? Sponsor a softball team, sponsor a soccer team. You know, even if it's not something that you even are interested in, like they need your money, they need your support, and then take interest and connect with the people. So all different ways of lead generating. But this is your 19 to connect or your 12 direct. 36 to convert is the 33 touch. Okay. Database, a smart database is organized, it's categorized, they're on smart plans, you have a plan with it, it turns into a data bank. Okay. Any ahas we want to talk about right now before we roll into the last part of servicing? This one's kind of quick. So any ahas on how you're going to be touching people, things that you might have been doing wrong, doing right?
You mentioned earlier, Mary Beth, about the Oprah, right? Oprah.
Yeah.
report. So when I sold my girlfriend's house, that's when I learned that there were outstanding permits, and then I had to
Yeah.
do a lot of running around because I wanted to make sure that the house closed. You know, I put it up, I listed it over Labor Day weekend, and then we closed by the end of October, mid-October, which was great.
Nice.
I mean, it was
Yeah.
really on track, but that actually held things up, and I had to take time to go meet people who were coming in, you know, to check the
Oh, yeah.
house, things that she didn't know about, or that she had, like she had an alarm system put in her house, and she didn't realize that they put a permit in with the township. She had no idea. So it was never closed.
Closed
So
out.
you
Right.
have to make sure that you have closed permits.
And then you're dealing with the timeline of a city, a township, and then God forbid that the buyer has a rate lock that's going to expire, then who's going to pay for that, for the rate lock to be extended, right?
Right.
So that Oprah really saves your butt if you do it right in the beginning of your transaction. Even if the attorney's not asking for it, you just tell them, I'm going to go pull the Oprah. If the attorney pulls it, they charge them like $150, $200.
So you
I'm
can
like,
go to the township to ask for that report?
yeah, it's free. It's free. What I'm saying is the attorney tells them, they charge them because somebody's got to make the phone call or go down to the township. But yeah, township will send it to you in like 2 days.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So Audrey was
do
saying, I
they-
love the idea. Go ahead.
I'm
Who's
sorry, Mary
talking?
Beth.
Georgette.
Do they just give the Oprah to anyone? Just said, I need an Oprah on some, like a property, and they just said, okay, you can.
Every township is different. My sister-in-law Rebecca is our assistant here, and she just went down to the township. So she worked for KW, and we were selling a property, and we needed the Oprah, and they gave it to her.
You could
You
do
can
it
do it
online
online
too.
too. Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
okay, you could do it online, says Kristen and Nicole. So there you go. So
Yeah, so
that
I'm just,
Mhm.
oh, sorry, I'm sorry.
Go-
I
go
just
ahead.
want to say, it's an experience for me when it comes on to Oprah, because I would never, probably I've heard about it before, but I wouldn't
Yeah.
have thought of that. It's my experience now to know that, okay, this
That's
is what
right.
I have to do moving forward.
That's right.
Also, as a buyer's agent, I always pull it as soon as our offer gets accepted in attorney review. You don't have to pay for it. You can do it on, I tell the buyers to do it, so it doesn't, and that's what they've taught us to do at KW,
That's
I
great.
believe.
Mhm.
So that you don't get blamed for any misinformation, and they email it right to the client, and then she
Yep.
emails it to us and the attorney, yeah.
Yeah, we did
That's
it
great.
online. It was Union County. Actually, they were pretty decent about the time frame.
Yep.
I hear
Well-
Mel gives you a harder time.
Well, you know what? All the townships are a little slow right now. There's lots of openings, okay? Because just like we're down in units, they're down in units. So with the transfer of properties, you got some people maybe out of a job too. One other thing, my experience I'll share is I personally purchased a house in Freehold in 2005, prior to 2011. Does anybody know what changed in 2011? Anybody had my experience? Okay. Oil tanks. So I bought a house in 2005 that was completely decommissioned properly, meaning that there was an oil tank in the house. The house was originally 1884, and the oil tank was in the ground, and they filled it with sand, and the township said it was good to go, and it was sealed and it's decommissioned properly. When I closed on it in 2005 with the same attorney that actually was on the other end of the deal when I sold it, there was no problem with that at all. There was no warning because there was no law. It was decommissioned. You're good to go. In 2011, they decided that even if you had a decommissioned tank, which you would find if you pulled the Oprah, if you found, and sometimes, not always, but when my buyer of my house in Freehold Borough pulled the Oprah last freaking minute, they found that we had an oil tank. So then my attorney said, "Did you know you had an oil tank?" And I said, "I don't think I have an oil tank." And then I said, "Oh my gosh, I do have one, but that was decommissioned properly." And he said, "Yeah, but since 2011, you have to take that tank out of the ground." So it stalled out the closing. The buyer hung in. We took the tank out of the ground. It looked like strings. It was in pieces, in shambles. There was a little bit of dirty soil. I had to remediate it. It cost me $7,500, which is not bad at all, because I didn't have insurance on it because it was decommissioned. And my buyer wasn't going to close with it in the ground, even though his mortgage company was willing to let him. He was like, "I don't want that problem when I go to sell it," which is true. So I
thought the
lost
law
time
says
and money.
We have to remove it. Like,
We-
you
we-
can't close unless you remove it now. Because years ago, you used to be able to say, well, I'll give you $3,000 toward it, so you know, on the closing. so
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can do it.
right. You
But
deal
now
with
they
it, right?
changed it that we have to do it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but listen, if it's a cash deal, if it's a company that doesn't care, there's always a way to get around stuff, but generally speaking, yes, the tanks need to come out. So when you're talking with the seller, and maybe some of you don't know what a coal basement looks like, where it was heated by coal, but if you see that and you see some weird like little like pipes and stuff, and you're like, I don't know what all that stuff is, it might have been an oil tank hookup. So what I would just advise you, like Kristen was saying, she's pulling that Oprah as soon as her buyer's in contract. Even if you're with a seller, even, and you think that there might have been an oil tank here, I don't know if they even know. I might go looking for it. Okay. So don't go I'm not looking for it. If I didn't find it, it's not my problem. Don't do that, because it will be everybody's problem, like it was at last minute. And then people are losing their rate lock and you're losing your buyer.
Also, I did a mobile home and I pulled the Oprah and there was none. So I was like, all right, maybe there aren't any on mobile homes. Well, the other
Oh.
agent told me I had to look up the whole land that the mobile homes
Yes.
were on.
Yes, because remember, mobile homes are actually land leases. They're land leasing, that there's acres and acres, and a family decides that they're going to let it be a mobile home park. Well, that person is only land leasing for however many years it says in their land lease with that community. If if it's a 20-year land lease, at the end of the 20 years, if the grandsons of that family decide that, you know what, we don't want this to be a mobile home park anymore, we want the money, there's 35 acres of prime real estate right here, they can absolutely say, well, we'll let all the land leases expire, we're not going to renew any, and we're going to sell off the properties. These people could take their mobile homes and put them somewhere else. So we have to be very careful when you're selling those products, because you do need to know what you're getting your client into. All right, so let's just, hello, Greg Wareham, Move It Mortgage, how are you? Why are you laughing? Why are you always laughing at me? You're laughing with me, right? Okay. We're at the Service Your Database. Your job is to build a community and to serve the community. Servant leader, have a heart of a servant leader. Don't ever go, well, that's not my job. I understand if it's a liability if I start touching this, but I can always guide you to the right resource. So it is your job to guide them to the right resource. Remember, we're fiduciary and not functionary. But the fourth law is service all the leads. Plan for a lead follow-up program. What that means is once you have the listing under contract, once you have the client, then what happens? Have you set expectations about communication? Have you set expectations about what the transaction looks like? Here is where you should be putting it. The minute that Audrey says to me, Mary Beth, I'm going to buy something with you. Maybe not this year, maybe in 2 years. My job is to put Audrey, we'll assume Audrey's already in my database because she's my friend and we're at a party and she tells me this. Then when I go home, I go, okay, Audrey said that she's going to buy something. I'm going to put an opportunity. You go ahead and create the opportunity because the opportunity is in the pipeline. It's there. We have to nurture it. Audrey said about 2 years. So I have to put her there and I have to know that I'm cultivating. If I set an appointment with her, you can move the stages along. But in Command, you have opportunities, which actually allows you to see your transactions as they move if you put it in there. And so once again, let's go through this because that's like really an Ashley thing. But I started using opportunities and it's like your transactions are coming alive. But 4 laws of the database: build a database, feed it every day, communicate with it systematically, and service all the leads that come your way. Where we mess up is that we fall short on one of these and it's almost like, oh, we'll have to start all over with a new person. No, just go back. Would it be so bad if I said, hey, Greg Wareham, we haven't talked in so long. How are you doing? Right? And he starts, I'm not gonna, I'm sorry I didn't call you, or you're mad at me. I don't want you. Hey, he's gonna be like, I'm so sorry I haven't called you either. I've been so crazy busy myself. We could pick it right up where we left off. Do not be embarrassed if you're thinking right now, like, man, I dropped the ball with a couple people. Because you already put some work in. What's the difference? Are you going to be embarrassed when you see them next time because you never followed up with them? Or you're going to pick up the phone and just say, man, it's been a crazy year. How the hell are you doing? And let them say, like, oh my God, when was the last time we talked? Was it like 5 months ago? It feels like it was yesterday. And I think like 5 months just flew by. You're assuming that they're going to be mad. So I'm just telling you, no matter where you are in the stage of building your database, you can get back on track with people that you think you may have lost. And servicing all of the leads, we're going to be talking about how to service sellers and buyers. But here's what I will tell you. In your database, people are asking about, hey, do you have a tax person? Hey, do you have a painter? Hey, Audrey said she might want to buy something. Can't I just put her on a saved search? Can't I just tickle her a little bit with some properties that maybe she goes, all right, let me go look now because I love what I'm seeing. That's servicing all the leads. Me saying to Audrey, the buyer, I want to set you up with Greg Wareham because he's going to do a buyer consultation with you. That's servicing the lead. Introducing her to the title company. That's servicing the lead. Getting her to talk to our favorite attorney. That's servicing the lead before they're even a transaction. Okay. So follow the 4 laws. Don't quit too soon. The 36 touch campaign or 39 or 33, whatever it is, takes time to yield results. Lead measures, lag measures. Think long-term, short-term pain, long-term gain. Short-term pain. It is not going to be easy. It's simple, not easy. Always come from care and service. We say come from care and contribution. Contribution. Make enough deposits that you can ask for a withdrawal. And that's just what that whole little Greg thing was. Like, sorry, Greg, you haven't make a few more deposits because right now I feel like if I ask for a withdrawal, Greg's going to be like, who are you? Haven't talked to you in forever. And the real estate business is a relationship business, and always keep that in mind. All right. We're definitely getting out of here by 7:30. Greg Wareham, what do you think about servicing that database, building that database? We'd have to hear you, though. You have to unmute. Doing it again. Shocking us with silence. Hey, now we can't see.
Hi. I'm squinting. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So I would say, when you talk about database management, it's something that, really resonates with me. And here's why it resonates so much. So I've been in the industry since 1998. And if there's one thing that I could change in anything that I've done, it's from day one, I would have put every single person that I spoke to
Mhm.
into a database management system. Because the thousands and thousands of people that I spoke to that I didn't follow up with effectively
Yeah.
because a paper system just doesn't work. I mean,
Yep.
you're talking about hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not more, in lost revenue.
Yep.
For people that are newer in the industry or you haven't been in it quite that long, there's time. Get engaged, get the past people into the system. Don't miss that opportunity
Yeah.
because it does expand.
And for some of the agents that I know here have had some success in the business, now is not it's not too late to go back into the MLS. Let's say you're in the business 3 years, or 19. Put your MLS ID number and go and search all closed properties with your number and see all the units you've done and the customers. Cause I forget about some people. I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't put those people in my database. But take a look even in just MLS and see what you've done, or look at your sheets that you keep track of and look at the past client and make sure you put them into the database. I have a great family that is in my database from when I was an agent, the first, maybe it was 2006 or 7, I sold them. And they were so grateful to me because they lived in a section in English Town that I was like, oh, I could sell that. I could sell that house for sure. It was Samaritan Way, which was low income housing, but it wasn't low income housing. They were just houses that were smaller, more affordable houses. And so I just took her on, and we were able to sell 3 houses there. We sold theirs, the mother, and them, all because I was service oriented. I stuck with them, and they are still in my database to this day. Their kids are married, who went to college. It's really fun to watch that. And that's where I've gotten referrals from, right? Because people like that, you're just touching, but hey, oh my gosh, the kids are so big. And they're like, so-and-so needs to buy a house. Did you talk to her? Right? But Greg, I can clearly remember one agent specifically that told me that advice when I first put everybody in your database, every single person in your database. And I'm like, yeah. And I could kick myself now that not every single person went in as well. So that's great advice. I really appreciate that.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. You'd be in Aruba all the time.
Yes, I would be. But here's what I was gonna say. You just did a missed opportunity, the intangible missed opportunity, tangible versus intangible. If you do think back, because if you want to stop yourself from doing it again, if you just thought back about the people that did buy that maybe you weren't part of, and you start calculating that missed income, or you just look at the customers that should have been in your database over the last couple of years, and you take a 10% number on that, and you're like, ouch, times it by your GCI, ouch, it's a really expensive lesson. So hopefully the lesson is heard. Everybody goes in the database. Everybody gets communicated with, feed it every day in a systematic way, and service all leads. Okay. So last minute ahas. Anybody else have anything to say? We're going to be rolling into the open house section. That will be Monday evening. And then on Wednesday evening, I have the pleasure of bringing Ignite live to you from Aruba. So yes, I will be in Aruba, and we will be having Ignite. So I look forward to those sessions. It will be fun. But next Monday, it's going to be about open houses. This week, I encourage you to start to implement whatever you haven't implemented up to this point. Once again, if you've missed any sessions, you can go back to the YouTube channel and you could look at the playlist. All of the past recordings are there, and they will stay there. So you can also share it with friends that maybe weren't able to attend all sessions, which I knew would happen. Yes, Lori, I'm excited for Aruba as well. Wish I could take you guys with me. Maybe next time. Maybe we'll do a contest. All right. So you guys have a lovely evening. It's 7:27. I am signing off, and I will see you guys on Monday. Have a great evening. Thank you.
Thank
Good night.
you.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye,
Thank you.
guys.